Good morning. We will start with session 6 on chapter Diversity in Living Organisms. In our previous class, in Animal Kingdom, we understood which are the different phylums of Animal Kingdom. That is, there were 9 phylums in the Animal Kingdom. Which were they? Porifera, Coelenterata, Platyhelminthes, Mollusca, Annelidea, Arthropoda, Echinodermata, Nematoda, and the last one I have not written that, Protochordata. That means there are 9 phylums, and we understood how are these classified, and apart from that we also understood on what terms and what basis we classify them. So we classify them on based on their cellular level organization or tissue level organization, their body type, germ layer. When we talked about germ layer, it had 3 layers or it has only 2 layers. That means if it is 3 layers, then it is triploblastic, and if it has 2 layers, then it is diploblastic. What do you mean by 2 layers and 3 layers? Now 3 layers, when we talk about, it has ectoderm, endoderm and mesoderm. Now exoderm, when we talk about, is the outer skin. Endoderm, when we talk about, is the inner part, that is about what you can say, our organs, etc. Mesoderm, when we talk about, it is the middlemost part. I am sorry, mesoderm is something all the organs which we have. Endoderm is something what we have inner, that is nothing but lungs, cardiac muscles, etc. So the organisms are classified based on these ectoderm, endoderm and mesoderm. So organisms which have only 2 germ layer are called as dipoblastic. They do not have mesoderm. That means they do not have pouches for organs. They only have ectoderm and endoderm. Then we understood about the coelom. Coelom is nothing but a cavity. Do they really have a cavity, hollow space, or they have a type of a false cavity known as stereocoelomate, or if they have a cavity, it is called as a coelomate. Next, we understood about segmentation. Segmentation are the body lines. Do they have a body lines? Then about the skeleton. Do they possess exoskeleton or endoskeleton? Exoskeleton is something which is inside. As we are endoskeleton. We have skeletal body inside, right? Exo is outer shell, what we can talk about. So we will classify them based on these terms. So we will start with the first phylum, that is Porifera. Now the word itself tells us Porifera, or it is pori is nothing but pores, what you can tell here. So this is a type of cell level organization. That means only one single cell is present in them. So that carries out all the function. That means the type of animal which has complete pores in the body. Porifera are also called as sponges. Why we term this as a sponge is because if you have a sponge, have you ever seen how a sponge looks like? It has number of pores in them, right? Similarly, Porifera also looks like a sponge. That is why another name for Porifera is sponges. Let's understand the next type. So it does not have any body type. That means it is neither bilaterally symmetrical or radial symmetrical, because it is a very lowest or the primitive form, what you can say, the very lowest form of organism in animal kingdom. Then though it does not have any body type, there is no germ layer. Always remember, when we talk about a cell level organization, it does not have a body type. That means it does not even have the germ layer. Now you will understand it as we proceed further. Depending on the body type, you can assume the germ layer. If the body type is bilateral, then the germ layer will be triploblastic. If the body type is radial, it is dipoblastic. You will understand as we proceed. So there is no typical body type, or we can say germ layer. Coelom, there is no coelom present. It does not come in any of these categories. Then it is a non-motile. Now when we talk about animals, how animals can be non-motile, right? Animals means it can move from one place to another. Motile is something called as a movement. That means this type of an animal cannot move from one place to another. It is fixed on a particular substratum. Now, what do you mean by a substratum? Substratum is a hard surface where this level of organism or this animal will stay on, right? So, it will take a support of a substratum, that is some hard surface, and it will stay on it since it is non-motile. Though it is an animal, it is as good as plants only. Because when we talk about plants, plants are non-motile and the animals are motile. That is, we can move. Plants cannot move. Though Porifera is included in the animal kingdom, but still it is non-motile. Then, as we told that it has holes on all body, right? These holes will allow it to take in and take out or movement of the water. About the skeleton, when we talk about, it is exoskeleton. That means it has a very hard covering outside the surface. Hard layer outside. So it has a hard covering outside which makes it very hard, and this layer has same holes on it. Example, as I already told you, let us try to remember two examples for each of the phylums or each of the classification, either in plants or in animals. So example we can remember here is Cycon is one example, and the second example is Spongida. So this is about Porifera. We'll move on to the next phylum, that is Coelenterata. Now Coelenterata is a tissue level organization. So what is the body type? Body type is radial symmetry. Now we know what is radial symmetry. If a body has more than one symmetry, it is called as radial symmetry. For example, human beings come under bilateral symmetry because it can only be divided into half, right? For right side half and the left side half. But if the body has more than one symmetry, we call such as radial symmetry. So these are motile. That means these can move. So what is the germ layer? Germ layer is diploblastic, right? Next, what about the coelom? It has no coelom. That means it is acoelomate. It is hollow. Segmentation, the body does not have any segment. Skeleton. Now here what happens, in some level of organisms, skeletal system is either endo or exo when we talk about. Here in the first one it was exo, it was outside. In some of the organisms, till it reaches a particular point, all these organisms will have muscular skeleton system. That means skeletal system is present in the form of a muscular movement. The animals can move, that itself what you can say as muscular movement. There won't be any skeletal system in them. So this Coelenterata will come under that. Example, Hydra, jellyfish. Now, when we spoke about Porifera, Porifera are usually marine only. They are not found on land, right? But when we talk about Hydra, jellyfish, these are also marine, but sometimes also there are some other examples which we can find them on land, different. Okay, we'll move to the next one, Platyhelminthes. Now, the word tells us that here, Platyhelminthes, this platy is nothing but flat, right? So, the name suggests, since it is flat in nature, that is called as Platyhelminthes. So, it is a tissue level organization, body type is bilateral symmetry. Now, see here, as I had told you, if we have radial symmetry, we will understand that it has only two germ layers, it is diploblastic. Wherever the word bilateral symmetry comes, you have to remember it is triploblastic. That means three germ layers. It is a hint for you to remember this. Triploblastic, acoelomate. That means no coelom is present, no cavity is present. Segmentation, as of now there are no segments here. Now as I have told you, so it moves, since these all are motile, so muscular movement is present in terms of a skeletal system here. One thing what I would like to tell you about Platyhelminthes is, Platyhelminthes, they are type of worms, what we can say, those are dorsiventral. Dorsiventral means something. Now We say dorsal and ventral. Now the word dorsal means our back. Ventral means the front portion. Suppose if this is a back portion, this is the back portion which is dorsal and this is the front portion which is ventral. If I just press that both, what do I get? I get flat, right? That means a ventral portion is touching the dorsal portion, right? In our case, is our ventral portion touching our dorsal portion? No, it isn't touching, correct? So here in platyhelminthes, what will happen? They are flat. The dorsal portion is touching the ventral portion. Flat they are. That is why the best example what I can give in platyhelminthes could be flatworms. That is why they are called as flat, right? The example here could be Planera. So this is something a figure of Planera. These are flat. So these are called as flatworms also. They have width, correct? But they are flat in nature. Now where are these worms found? These worms or platyhelminthes can be a free living or it can be a parasite. Now when we talk about free living, Planaria is a free living organism. Wherein if I talk about tapeworm, they are parasites. Now parasites means they feed on something, they stay on the host body, right? So they stay on the host body, they take the food from the host body. So those are called as parasites. So platyhelminthes can be free living as Planaria or tapeworms such as parasites. Since they are flat in nature, the name comes platyhelminthes. We'll move to the next one now. Mollusca. Now, mollusca is something, the word molly or mol, something means as soft. Right? So, organisms which have a very soft body type will come under mollusca. This is also a tissue level organization. Bilateral symmetry. Since bilateral symmetry, it comes under triploblastic. That is 3 germ layer. It has a xylem. It is coelomate. That means pouches are present for different organs. Since it is triploblastic. Now see here, since this also was triploblastic here, but there was no coelom present. But here coelom is present. It has a soft body. That is what I told you. Though it has a soft body, some organisms have a shell on them. Like for example, you can tell snail comes under mollusca. That is why snail have shell on them, right? Octopus is also an example of mollusca. Like now looking at this, what you can tell, these are marine as well as these are land, right? Land animals. We'll move to the next one, Annelida. Now Annelida is again a tissue level, bilateral, triploblastic, coelomate. There are few things which are very common, these three especially. So if you understand the table, what comes, it will be easy for you. See, if you write triploblastic, it is understood that they have 3 germ layers. You need not explain about that again. So they are tissue level, bilateral, triploblastic, coelomate. They have segmented body. Now segmented is something, suppose if this is a worm, okay, so these have lines. Can you correlate? Which are the worms? Have you seen such worms, crawling worms or moving which have lines on them? Yes, those will come under Annelida. So example could be leech, earthworm. But you might say now, I haven't seen any segments on the leech or I haven't seen any segments on the earthworm. That means this is the first level of organisms which have segments as and when the organisms as and when I go to the next level, those segments are much thicker and you can see them, right? Now when you look at an earthworm, you don't feel those earthworms have segments on their body. That is the first level segmentation. As and when you go ahead now, those segments are much wider or what you can see them. So they are bilateral, triploblastic, coelomate, segmented body, both water or land. Example, earthworm and leech. Now again, since these all are motile, they have musculoskeletal system, what I can tell here is. Next we go to the part over here is arthropoda. Now, arthropoda, the word arthro here, arthro means joint, and poda is nothing but feet, right? Feet or other word I can use here as appendage. What do you mean by that? I'll explain. Word arthropoda means joint feet. These are basically insects. Now, for example, joint feet, if I have to give you an example, take any insects. All arthropoda, all insects come under arthropoda. So, take any insects, put it upside down. How is the feet of the insect? How does it look? Suppose if this is an insect, does it look like this? This is a joint. Correct? Take a spider, take a mosquito. For example, if I tell this is my hand, is my hand straight from here to here without any joints? No, right? I have a joint here which I am able to move. Similarly, I am not giving this as an example. Similarly, they have a joint feet, right? Those are called as appendages. That is why the name arthropoda. Now, arthropoda insects are the first in the phylum kingdom. That means 80% of the phylum kingdom is filled with insects, what I can say. So, phylum, arthropoda phylum is first among the animal kingdom. 80% of insect species are found actually. And Annelida comes second in the phylum kingdom. Now, let us see the body type. So, it is tissue level, bilateral, triploblastic, coelomate. It is all same. Segmented. Now here can you correlate? Now mosquito, butterfly, spider, if I take all these organisms, they are segmented. Okay. What about the skeleton? Exoskeleton. That means these insects have a hard, not very hard, but they have a shell outside the body. A skeleton system is there outside the body. So these are exoskeleton. Example, prawn, spider, scorpion, mosquitoes, anything can come in this. All insects can come in this. So this is arthropoda. Next, we'll move on to echinodermata. Now, the word echino means spine. Spine is nothing but thorns, right? Derma means skin. That means a spiny skin organism. The organism which has spines in them, small thorns in them, those will come under echinodermata. So again, it's a bilateral, triploblastic, coelomate. There are no segments present in this, not exactly they are segmented. They are endoskeleton. Endoskeleton means skeleton is present inside the body which is made up of calcium carbonate. Example, starfish. Yes, have you seen starfish? Now, yeah, I just made a mistake here. Starfish will not come under bilateral. Starfish will come under radial symmetry. And this is dicloplastic. Yes. If you remember, starfish was the first example given by me to tell about a radial symmetry. So this is radial symmetry and comes under dicloplastic and endoskeleton. These are the examples. Next one will move to the nematoda. So nematoda also comes under tissue level, bilateral, triploblastic, but it has a false coelom kind of cavity in it. That is why it is called as pseudocoelomate. Now, there is no particular segments present in this or not a type of a skeleton also. Again, the muscular skeletal system helps in the movement of these organisms. Now, examples, Ascaris or roundworm. These are basically parasites, what you can say. That means they feed on the host body for their food. Now basically when we talk about this worm Ascaris, it is usually found in the human feces. So these are parasites. So either they stay in the small intestine, eat the food or take the nutrient from the food what we eat. So these are basically disease causing organisms. So here are the first 8 phylums what I have written now. So I want you all to just go through this, make a note if you want. So the next we'll move on to the last phylum, that is Protochordata. Okay, we'll move to the next phylum, that is Chordata. But before that, as we discussed about here, Echinodermata, which is an example of starfish I told you. So it is actually bilateral symmetry before birth, and after birth it is radial symmetry. So before it is born, it is considered into a bilateral symmetry. After it is born, it is radial symmetry. And you make a correction here, it is triploblastic, not dipole. Because initially it was bilateral, it will take the same thing here. It will develop into 3 germ layers only, though it is radial. You can say this is the only one exception present here. Okay. Before birth it is bilateral, and after birth it changes to a radial symmetry, and it has a 3 germ layer, that is triploblastic. Now we move on to the last phylum, that is Chordata. Now further Chordata is again, now when we talk about Chordata, we know that this has a notochord, right? Wherein Echinodermata and Chordata, when we classify, Echinodermata does not have a notochord and Chordata has a notochord. So organisms which have notochords are again further classified in terms of Protochordata and Vertebrata. Now what do you mean by a notochord? Notochord is a rod-like structure present in the dorsal system. Now what is dorsal? Dorsal is our back. Now we have a vertebral column, right? That is why right from our spine to the gut lining what we have. That is why we are able to stand stiff or stand erect, what you can see. That is giving a posture to our body. Similarly, notochord, when we talk about, it is you can say a cartilaginous or a rod-like structure which will give us support. Later, this will be changed to a vertebral column in higher animals. Initially, a slight lower level of animals, notochord is present like a rod-like structure, not exactly a vertebral column. So here on that basis we classify Protochordata and Vertebrata. Vertebrata will be doing it in our tomorrow's session. So we'll complete our today's session with Protochordata. Now Protochordata have a notochord that is incomplete. That means they have a notochord which is a rod-like structure which gives us support to a dorsal system but not completely developed. Again here it is a tissue level organization. Body type is bilateral. Germ layer is triploblastic. It has a coelom present, that is why called as a coelomate. So segmentation, when we talk about, it has a gills kind, like how fishes have gills. Similarly, they do have a gills in some phases only. So when we talk about skeletal system, again as it is, which is helping for a muscular movement, that notochord is present. And example, Balanglossus. So these are basically marine animals which are in the water. So this is about the last phylum, Chordata, in which we understood what is Protochordata. About Vertebrata and its classifications in them, pisces, reptiles, apes, mammalia, will be doing it in our tomorrow's class. So in today's class, if you have any doubt in these classification, how do we classify them based on their body type, germ layer, about the skeletal system, so you can call on the same day of the video set.